What would you do if the sanctuary you built with your own hands, watered through countless summers, trimmed with patience for nearly a decade, was destroyed overnight? For Martin Graves, the answer wasn't words. It was stone, block by block. The morning began differently for Martin. Not because of the usual hum of traffic on Oak Ridge Avenue or the sparrows, chattering in the maple branches, but because of a silence that pressed against his chest. The hedges he had nurtured for years, his pride, his legacy, were gone, reduced to broken remnants scattered across the earth. At first he didn't move. He stood there staring, his breath shallow, his hands trembling. Memories of days spent working under the sun, of laughter shared with neighbors as he shaped every corner, flooded his mind. And now, with a single strike of cruelty, it all lay in ruins. But Martin was not a man to surrender. Where others might have crumbled, he bent down, touched the broken soil, and made a promise to himself. If they can destroy it overnight, then I will rebuild it every day until I can no longer breathe. So he began. Alone, with nothing but raw determination in his heart, he picked up the first stone. The weight of it mirrored the weight of his grief. Yet it also carried the spark of his defiance. 1 block became 2, 2 became 10. 10 became a wall, rising like a heartbeat refusing to die. Days turned into nights, and nights into days, but his hands did not stop. Blisters formed, sweat dripped, and exhaustion gnawed at his body. Yet his spirit refused to bend. Each sunrise brought with it a new challenge, but also a new strength. Neighbors passed by, some shaking their heads in pity, others offering words of comfort, but he needed neither sympathy nor sorrow. What he sought was not kindness from others, but courage from within. And courage he found. In every stone he lifted, he saw the reflection of his resilience. In every wall that slowly rose again, he saw the resurrection of his dreams. It was as though life itself was testing him, whispering, "Are you strong enough to begin again when all you've built has been shattered?" And with every block placed, he answered silently, "Yes, I am." But rebuilding wasn't just about replacing what was lost. It was about healing the wounds carved deep within his heart. Memories of laughter still echoed in the empty spaces. Shadows of those he loved still lingered in every corner. The past could not be erased, but through his labor, he was weaving those memories into something new, something unbreakable. The nights were the hardest. When fatigue overtook him and the quiet darkness surrounded his soul, doubt would creep in. What if it all collapsed again? What if all this effort was for nothing? What if the world never allowed him to find peace? But then he would close his eyes, take a deep breath, and remind himself, even if it falls 1,000 times, I will build it 1,001. Slowly, the barren ruins began to transform. What was once destruction now whispered of hope. Walls stood tall again, stronger and more resolute. The ground that once bore the scars of devastation now carried the seeds of new life. Where silence had weighed heavy, now the sound of hammer against stone became the rhythm of perseverance. He was no longer just building a sanctuary of stone and wood. He was building proof that human will cannot be crushed, proof that even in the darkest of times, a flicker of determination can set the night aflame. This wasn't merely a home rising from the ground. It was his soul taking form, unyielding and undefeated. And as the final stone was placed, he stood back and looked at what he had created. His hands were calloused, his body weary, but his spirit was burning brighter than ever before. The sanctuary before him was not just a house, it was a monument to resilience, a living testament that when life tears you apart, you still hold the power to piece yourself back together, stronger, bolder, and unbreakable. In that moment, he realized something profound. The world can destroy your walls. It can strip you of possessions. It can steal your sleep and break your dreams. But it can never take away your will to rise. And as long as that fire burns within you, nothing, not even the greatest of storms, can keep you down. What do you do when everything you've built with your own hands, years of effort, care, and love is destroyed overnight? Most of us would give in to despair. But for Martin Graves, the answer was not surrender. It was resilience. Martin had spent nearly a decade creating his sanctuary. Every hedge, every stone, every corner carried a memory. And yet one night it was all reduced to ruins. Standing there, staring at the broken remains, he had 2 choices: to grieve endlessly over what was gone, or to rebuild. He chose the harder path, with blistered hands, trembling muscles, and a heart heavy with loss. He began again, stone by stone, block by block. Where others saw destruction, he saw an opportunity to prove that his will was stronger than his pain. The days were long, the nights even harder. Doubt whispered, what if it collapses again? What if all this effort is wasted? But each time Martin reminded himself, if it falls 1,000 times, I will build it 1,001. From Martin's journey, we learned that true strength is not in never falling. It's in rising every single time we do. Life will test us. It will strip away what we hold dear. It will break our walls, and it will challenge our spirit. But what cannot be destroyed is our willpower. The choice to rise again, no matter how many times we fall. Rebuilding is never just about bricks, walls, or gardens. It's about rebuilding ourselves, our courage, our hope, our faith. Every setback we face is a chance to grow stronger, to transform loss into resilience, and to turn pain into purpose. So the lesson is simple but powerful. Life may knock you down, but it's not about the fall. It's about the rise. As long as the fire within us burns, storms may come and go, but nothing can keep us down. Because true strength is not measured by what we build, but by how many times we rise to build again.